Can you list some majors that are considered useless?
Well, I've often heard this label used to describe majors like the fine arts, drama or performance, literature degrees or English. And unfortunately, the label is applied to my own home discipline of communication studies far too often than it should be, which is never. My name's Brian Berenshausen. I'm a PhD candidate in communication studies, and it's my 4th year in the program.
So what do you think about the belief of useless majors, and can you define a useless major?
Well, I've heard this term, useless major, before, and typically people use it to describe majors that won't fetch a lot on the marketplace. There are many different notions of usefulness, of value, right? So a degree can be valuable if it's personally enriching. A degree can be valuable if it contributes something to society that can't be easily economized, right? A degree that contributes to society in ways that broaden its understanding or challenge the status quo. However, degrees that challenge those status quos are often better in some ways for society or for social arrangements, and those are often considered useless because they don't fetch high profits or high salaries.
My name is Philip Ross. I'm a sophomore, and my major is communications with a Japanese minor.
So can you define for me a useless major?
Useless major is, to me, a course of study where you study it and it really doesn't matter once you get into the real world whether or not you went to school for it, because you get your skills from on-job training anyway. So anything you really could just do without a college education for, it seems like a useless major to me. I don't want to think that it is because it's my major, but I don't feel like communications as a major is really that important, because you can just learn a lot of the things that you need to know from working a communications related job.
I'm Tim Stiles. I'm Associate Director of Internal Relations here at University Career Services.
So what is your views on useless majors, and can you define a useless major?
You know, useless major is in the eye of the beholder to me, and so often we've got all these external voices now kind of telling us what a useless major is, and to me it's more about asking students or even graduates, what is a useless major? I mean, I think there's definitely, when you look at our society, we produce more jobs in some areas than others. However, you know, I would argue that may be elusive to a certain extent. You know, when we looked at the recession, some of the highest unemployment numbers were in the engineering and architecture area. What that meant was companies were hiring young people to replace experienced workers just to cut costs. And so, you know, just to assume that because I can get an entry-level job and it gives me so-called security, is that long-term? The answer is probably not in the global economy we're in. I'm not sure there's a right major out there that's guaranteed employment for life, but I do know that sometimes on its surface people are just focusing on the short term. And if that's really important to them, then maybe there are some majors that are better fits for them. But again, we need to sit down and talk about that.